Hey, welcome to another episode of Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coaching. We've been talking about the secret grid for a while. We're going to go into that a little deeper, frame by frame. And why is it that we're doing this specifically? Why am I teaching it this way? Part of building these foundational steps will help you as we get into the esoteric. Right now we're in the physical realms of understanding this stuff. But then we're going to go into the emotional or the chemical, where we're going to call this sixth position. The physical realm, as we're in, we'll call it the first position, but then there'll be the third, sixth, and ninth position. So we'll be dealing with 3, 6, and 9s in the esoteric realm. But for now, before we can deal with the third, 3, 6, and 9 positions, that's a higher energetic realm of electricity. And if your body's not conditioned to that and having it flowing in, it can trigger and mess around with the brain, the body, the cells, and a whole bunch of other parts in your body. And yes, there is a cosmic upgrade happening right now, as it always is, but this just happens to be a macro upgrade, much like going from analog to digital in our societies. So the entire infrastructure has to be built to onboard everyone to be able to receive the messages, if you will, TV, media, whatever, digital music, into their home or stream it without having any difficulties, and that the stream's not interrupted. Well, we are on God Consciousness 2.0, or it's more like 7.0, but that's another conversation for another time. But for now, we're just going to each frame within the 21 realms. Each one of these are a doorway, as I keep calling them. But what it really is just a access point to higher knowledge, to higher frequency. And once you understand you, by taking responsibility for those thoughts, actions, and emotions, then it's going to open up this realm or this stage within a realm and allow that electricity to integrate, come into your body and integrate. Again, no one's doing this against your will. This is you choosing to have a better life, a bigger life, whatever that looks like to you, a more in-depth life, and so on. What you have around you, or decrease it if that's what you want, because you have too much of something. If you have too much noise around you, then you want maybe less noise, less people, places, and things that are making all that noise. But then you have the more power in order to make that manifest, right? So each one of these frames that we're talking about, we're going to look how to reframe, and this reframing is going to help you reframe your life in the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, or your health, wealth, and love. Right? Let's sort of go into our topic today, and that is getting to know the real you. Now, we've briefly touched on the real you in our conversations with the grid, right? Our very first step we took in understanding the physical realm within the physical stage within the physical realm is who and how are you, right? To get to know you a little bit better, right? Now, I just did want to touch on, because I don't think I made it clear enough last video for those who watched, and I appreciate you watching, guys. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So when I was explaining, as we were looking at one of these bullseyes, that if we were at the top or the spiritual realm, if I was at the mental realm, what's coming in on my energy realm with those numbers I showed you yesterday, with that energy, what's the energy coming in? All right, we know what's in front of us. We know what's in front of us, but what's above us? What's the energy coming in? We know if we take the energy in, the next frame or the next doorway is our future, right? So we can make calculated decisions that will benefit or resonate with us best. But the next one up, passion, is again, who are you? So we have to go back to, are you passionate enough? And if you're not, it's because you're not sure who you are, or the energy coming in is, here's your electrical, we'll call this 9, 6, and 3 realms. And so in this 9th realm, the energy from the 9th realm is going to come into the 6th realm. And the 6th realm is going to be different than the physical realm or the 3rd realm. You know, that's a lot of realms and a lot of stages, and that's what each one of these, I just wanted to show that each one of these that we were looking at yesterday in the singular is a realm within itself. But within the realm are stages, right? And stages is just an anagram for gate, right? This just is gate, G-A-T-S. So these are the gateways, the portals, to get to the higher knowledge, to align yourself with the frequency. Just as you were to dial on your phone multiple people, they each have a unique frequency. So the universe has unique frequencies that if you're choosing to gather more information about you, about the universe, about Earth, whatever this is, then these are connection points, right? We need to connect those ions to other points of higher frequency that have a bigger, broader perspective, that panoptic perspective than what we have here on Earth and in these flesh-limited bodies. So by being able to access at a bigger perspective, we're able then to contact other channels. And I'm not talking about channeling spirits and all that stuff. I'm talking about the channel on your TV or radio. You just tune in, fine-tune that resonant frequency, that wavelength, and then you're able to pick up on that information or the way they form their ions. So on the physical stage, mental stage, spiritual stage, these three stages are all within the physical realm. And once you've accomplished these 21 steps of figuring out who you are physically, then we're going to move mentally. But we already have some idea of this mental chemical realm. Or when we hit the spiritual stage in the physical realm, and then we already to the mental realm into the physical stage in the mental realm. Making sense now? So as soon as you access and start completing these 7 here on the physical stages, then you already open up to the next realm. So this is the doors and gateway. So as you open up this doorway, it opens you up to the next doorway. It cracks the door, doesn't open it all the way because it's energy, remember? Each one of these steps are high frequency energy. So this realm, each step gives you micro voltage or amperage, if you will. But when you can complete one of these physical realms, then you gain a big change in your life. That's why up here in the spiritual stages within these realms all have sort of the same thing. Are you ready for big changes? So these little ones are micro changes that you're making, and 21 micros equal a macro change. So you're going to step up. So you go from 9 volt to 110 to 220, if that makes sense, right? And you have to learn how to play with and hook up and connect higher frequencies of voltage or amperage, however you need to look at this. All right, so hopefully this is making a little sense to y'all a little bit more. So we'll be dealing with who are you, or who and how are you today specifically. And the practice we're going to do, and we're going to go into depth in each one of these because we just briefly touched in the past videos just to get you familiar with this. So now what we're going to do is go into each one of these with each new video and really break it down and give you esoteric coaching tools to help you deal with yourself, how to look at life and how to move forward, or how to look and gain access to the bigger picture. And yes, as we go up in these realms, the way it activates more parts of your brain, if you will, it gains you more access to a lot more abilities. Right? We can talk about remote viewing, psychic abilities. We can talk about transportation, portals. We can talk in accessing other consciousnesses, other frequencies of other beings in other planes and dimensions. Remember, dimensions is just dimensions, ions. It's two-way communication with other beings. So as you access and build up and have the capacity and storage and the ability to handle higher frequencies for a period of time, then you're going to be able to communicate with those on higher realms, higher frequencies, right? If I only have access to an AM radio, which is amplified modulation, then I can't reach FM. I have to tweak and do some more things, add some components, then I can tap into frequency modulation, or FM. Right? Or in the electromagnetic spectrum or the visible light spectrum, then we have very high frequencies, very low frequencies, extreme low frequencies. We can tap into all these frequencies because there is transmissions going on all the time, and as we increase our ability to receive, then we will receive these messages. These messages now, get this, are you listening? Is that these messages are not right or wrong, right? Just because another transmission that you're picking up from another place or being from another dimension doesn't mean their perspective is right for Earth. We're just gathering information, right? So I don't believe any one of these because it's not meant to be believed. It's just a newscast. It's a broadcast. They're casting broadly their signal, right? Is country right? Is religious stations right? Is rock and roll or rap right? It's not even a question to be asked because none of them are right or wrong. They're just different frequencies, different beats, different waveforms, right? So the beings out there in the galactic family all have different waveform or frequencies. And as we climb up this, we're raising and building beyond AM and FM. We're building into satellite. And then we'll be able to bring in this information. And again, the information is not right or wrong. It's just information. You can write books about it and say, oh, planet so-and-so, the Arcturians or the Lemurians or the Pleiades, they send messages that were all about peace, right? Well, that's not, you go to another planet, Orions and stuff, or the Atlanteans, and they may want nothing but domination. So is there right or wrong? It depends on your perspective. So I take in everyone's information. I just listen, and I collect the data I want that is specific for me on this planet. Making sense? So you'll be able to then start communicating or be mediumship. So again, we talked about relationship, this ship, this flesh bag ship, right? Ownership. So I own this ship that in essence has a vehicle or vessel out in the galactic highway, right? And so I'm able then to relate to other people's ship, right? So hopefully that's making sense, guys and gals and everyone else and every other being out there. If you're listening from another dimension, hey, welcome you as well, guys. So hopefully that gave you some idea of where we're headed. But we do need to deal with the physical realm, which contains the physical, mental, and spiritual stages, right? So the physical realm is basically here on Earth. It's just the physical everyday life that you have. And our physical body is blood, bones, all that good stuff. Mentally, it's our emotions, our raw emotions. You scream at you, I scream back. We don't understand emotional maturity yet. And then the spiritual is more about belief system, traditions, more like religions and mythology, stuff like that. These contain the anthropomorphic gods that people worship, or avatars, or iconic male or female deities, or neutral, whatever, destroyers, creators. And that's the physical realm. Once we grow out of the physical realm, then we're going to grow into this more neutral zone, which is the more energy and motion. This now delves that we are picking up and learning more about our psyche, our psychical ability, our emotions, who we are, right? This was our tribe's environment, and then we moved out of our tribe environment and went on our environment. And now we're having to deal with the emotions, the psychology, the physicality, all this stuff. And down here, this is all about what was right and wrong, good and evil. Here, this is about what's positive and negative. We sort of change our tune even to say, oh, think positively, think negatively. But if you're trying to think positively, you're still having that in the subtonals negative. You see what I'm saying? So no matter where you are, you're still bringing that partner in, right? We don't want, in this realm, it's more about not right or wrong, not positive or negative, but that's where we're going to be using that because we're upgrading the wrong and right into positive and negative. But the positive and negative in the spiritual realm or the electrical realm becomes positive and negative ions, right? So it's electrical. So we took off the iconic emotional and we took away the deity faces, and we end up with what's behind all that, which is just energy, pure energy. And that's what we're tapping into. And this energy can be broken down into multiple frequencies. So there's 21 frequencies with each one of these. Right, so there's 21, 21, 21, right, which is 63, which is a 9. So we can get into numbers later, but it's all frequencies. So we're just dealing with the 3, 6, and 9 frequencies out there. So hopefully this is making sense of where we're headed. So hopefully this is interesting you. If it's okay with you, we'll just continue on this path. If not, go ahead and leave me a comment. So how do we get to know ourselves? How do we know our real selves? Well, here's the first stage of observing yourself. Right, so we have position 1, present state, because we want to get to the desired state, but we can't get to the desired state unless we know our present state, which came from our past state, right? And state's just mental, right? Which are present state of mind, right? What framework, what portal, what United States are you in, what state are you in, if this makes sense. So what we have here to get to know yourself better, and in the physical realm and in the physical, mental, and spiritual stages within that realm, is that we're still blaming other people, we're still following other people, we're still wrapped up in their world and their traditions, right? And part of getting ourselves out of those other people's positions is that we need to reflect upon who it is that we're projecting our own internal representations after. So if I'm blaming or faulting or persecuting or even being the victim of someone else's energy, then I'm not taking responsibility for the thoughts, actions, and emotions that come from that life event or life experience. So in order to help us understand ourselves, we need to get out of ourselves, right? So just as we had position 3, 6, and 9 in the realms, we're going to deal with position 3, 6, and 9 in this video and the next, because this one's going to be 2 videos. And then the rest will follow 2 through 21. And those may be broken down, just make them shorter, because this is a lot of information for a lot of people, and I bring it on quickly, but that's the whole idea. By speeding up the frequencies, then we can better adapt to the frequencies that's higher than us, an octave above us, because it's going to come in faster. So if you can get used to me talking faster, right, then your body's able to absorb that and get used to that speed. Now, if it's not, just slow down the video. You can go into YouTube and just slow that video down to where I talk slower. Or if you already know this, speed it up. Right? But the goal here is to incrementally and all together bring in all physical, mental, spiritual, or mechanical, chemical, electrical components within this shell, within this ship, equally together. Some of y'all may be advanced at other parts in the physical realm, mental realm, or spiritual. But are you in the mechanical, chemical, and electrical perspective? Right? You may be a great psychic, and that's awesome. But is your physical body suffering? Are you transmitting extra energy from your physical body where it's breaking it down, but you're using it as a defense mechanism to focus it so you don't have to focus on and deal with yourself and your problems, that you then rewrite it into the psychic part of your brain that then makes you a really great psychic. But your body's suffering and your emotional state, you'll be depressed all the time because you're burning through that 4% cycle that we talked about last video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch it. Right? So what we need to do is take ourselves out of where we are in the midst of our own mental state, and then step out of ourselves, and then go into another person, place, or thing that we are projecting our fault and blames on. Does that make sense? So let's say, for example, this is you standing here all sassy with your hands on your hip, and you're over here. Let me, for a second, take you out. All right, so this is you here. This is another person that you're having an issue with, that you're blaming and faulting. This could be family, friend, boss, whatever. Right? This is just that other person, place, or thing. Right? Today we're just talking about a person, because most of us has more issues with people than we do places or things, generically speaking. So you're all ticked off at this other person. Right? You don't know this other person. It's your perspective or what you create in your head about this other person. Right? It's you who's evaluating this person, and the only evaluation system you have is your own internal representation of your value system that you got from your tribe or other people or other societies or other cultures. Right? So what we're going to do is go from the present state, position 1. We're going to take a couple deep breaths, drop your shoulders, drop your jaw, move your head around, take a couple more deep breaths, and then be in the unfolding moment and be ready to have yourself, show yourself what it is you need to work on and who you are and how you are. All right, so when you're ready, right, if you're courageous enough here, go ahead and your body is just a vessel, it's a spacesuit. And what's operating that vehicle is you within that vehicle, just like you within the vehicle of your car in the physical realm. You hop in your car, you become the soul of that car, if you will. So the same thing here is you are driving this spaceship or this vessel called the flesh bag or ape suit as they call them. So what I want you to do is get in touch with the light that's within inside that flesh. Now I want you to be the light within the flesh. The flesh may seem like it has a boundary, but it doesn't. It's porous, right? If you put it under a microscope, it's just space within space within space. It's just slowed down, really slow. So now with your light body, step out behind yourself. Go out of your back, right? Go out of your back, step out of yourself about 3 paces, right? Observe yourself, right? You're looking at your back. And put your consciousness now is in the soul. It's not in your flesh anymore. It's in the soul. So what you're going to do is just walk around, walk this soul, right? This is your soul walking. Walk it around and put it into or behind this person, right? You're not going into them yet. And again, it's not really them, right? We're just getting ourselves to look at ourselves from a different perspective, especially the person that you're blaming, faulting, or have issues with, right? So once you're there, what we're going to do is you're going to step into this other person. You're going to be able to see through their eyes at you. You're going to observe you, right? So let's do that right now. So I'm going to take ourselves and walk ourselves into their back. So you stepped out of your back, we walked around, and we're standing behind them. Now we're going to integrate our soul into their soul. Now we're not possessing, don't even go there. Their electricity is the same electricity in you. So we're just sharing electrical space for a moment. We're not getting into them. We're not taking over their bodies. This is not a practice or a ritual to possess someone. So you physical realm-minded people, right, this doesn't happen, right? This was taught to you through your religions and traditions and mythologies, right? I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying in this capacity that we're teaching it today, it does not exist. This is just a practice for you, right? Because you're not really stepping into that person. It's your imagination. We're imaging our ions. We're projecting, right? A projection is projecting your ions, imaging them from a different place other than you. Got it? So, as you step into this person, right, we're going to adjust ourselves inside their shell, if you will, into who they really are on this physical plane, right? If you're this tall or this shape and they're this tall and that shape, that's okay. What I want you to do right now is adjust your eyes to look from their eyes and take a look at you in your state and with the issues you have about this other person. It's making sense? Stay with me here, guys. So I want you first to just observe your physical position in the number 1 position. So we're in this second position, staring at ourselves in the first position. So as you observe yourself inside this other person, observing you, right? Immediately, do you see yourself, are your eyes level to one another? Do you feel shorter than this other person? Do you feel like you're standing taller than this other person? When you're looking through these eyes of another person at yourself, how do you see yourself standing? Are you upright firm? Is your head straight? Right? Are your shoulders back? Right? Or do you see yourself as weak or less than? Right? So what I want you to do in that very moment of observing yourself is write down 4 adjectives of what you observe. Right? What or how can you observe yourself in that moment? Be honest with yourself. Be open and honest. Unfold the moment. Right? We're not judging ourselves. We just need to observe ourselves, right? And understand that we have perceived ourselves all this time. So the reason why that you think other people are who they are is because you already see yourself that way and you project them on the other person. And if you project yourself on the other person, then you're going to react as you would to yourself, be it in a negative space, that you're going to already assume that they're going to see you that way because you're the one seeing yourself that way. So you then just assume everyone else is going to see you the way you see you. So if you constantly encounter the same issues with different people, it's because you're the one projecting yourself, and then you're already assuming, presuming, right, that they're just going to act a certain way, so you might as well beat them to the punch and be a dick or whatever this is, right, to that other person before they can do it to you. And then you can then validate yourself by saying, see, everyone's a jerk, right? So observe yourself, sit there with yourself for a while. How are you dressed? How are you standing? And then go into the emotional state. We looked at the physical body standing up straight or short or shorter or whatever. Now look at your emotional state. How are you observing yourself in the state that you are in position 1? Do you feel that you're weak? Do you feel that no one's listening? Do you feel that you're not being validated? And for what reasons do you need others to hear you or validate you? Right? Do you have a message that needs to be said? Right? Whatever this may be. And when you are able to observe yourself honestly here, it's going to gain you insight, because you're inside this person, but you're going to get their insight, if you will. It's really just your insight. So now that you've collected and observed this information, right, we're going to collect the ions from that experience. We're going to take that experience. Now we're going to step back out of that person. And then we're going to walk ourselves back into ourselves. So now within us, we have a new insight that we're now going to integrate. This is where we transmitted, looked, and observed. Now we're going to integrate and receive our new insight and go, oh my God, I was standing shorter. I saw myself shorter than that other person. I looked at myself and said, man, you're pitiful, dude. Stand up straight, right? And why is it that no one's listening to you? Maybe because what you're saying to yourself is energetically less than. And other people, they already feel less than for the most part, right? That's why self-help books are a billion-dollar industry, right? Everyone doesn't feel good about themselves or a part of themselves, and we're always trying to better it. But I'm not worse or better, and I use the term betterment, but it's increasing my voltage. Right? I got to use words that are similar to y'all so you get me. If I just speak electrical language, it sounds like I'm all left brain, but I'm not. What I'm trying to get you to do is get out of yourself and see that you're pure energy. And when you're ready to handle your pure energy, you'll disconnect, unplug from other people's energy, and now you have the maturity to take on the responsibility and own your own ship and broadcast from your ship. So when we become a medium or do mediumship, we have the capacity to pick up on everyone else's ships out there and then be able to help people here on earth with those who have crossed over or those beings that they may be in contact with, that they may perceive as possessing them, or angels or channeling, whatever these terms are for other people. So it's going to give us a lot of insight. So hopefully this is allowing you to get a better perspective of seeing yourself. Right? Now, if it wasn't in the best light, now you have a step. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to perceive with this new information? Right? You've reformed those ions. Now how do you want to go forward? Right? And we'll review that next video. So just as a review, be present with yourself in the present unfolding moment, and we want to make sure that our hearts are undefended. We go into this practice to see about ourselves. If you don't want to see yourself, then just keep doing what you're doing and get the same results. But if you're ready for better results, higher frequency results, right, be open to receiving who you are. All right? Most people don't like the truth about themselves or anything else because the truth hurts most times. At least that's their perception. But the truth is freeing, because what did we do in that exercise? We freed a part of ourselves. And we've integrated that part that we freed, we now filled up with a better version of ourselves. Right? Version is verse. It's a verse of ions. So we're here aligning with the universe. Right? So be in the present unfolding moment with an undefended heart. We're going to take responsibility for our thoughts, actions, and emotions through this exercise or practice. So now as we stepped out of ourselves, we walked in behind the other person, place, or thing. Now that we were in that other person, place, or thing, we're going to observe what we observed. And we're going to take that information to heart. And as we step out of that other person and come back to ourselves, we're bringing in more heart. We need the heart active with the mind to go into the higher frequencies henceforth. Right? Kind of like that word. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode, and we will go into what or where motivates you. So now that we have a better view of ourselves, we want to do this with every person, place, or thing that we have an issue with. Right? So this may take you days, weeks, or months, or years even. But the more you understand this practice that everyone's just energy, it starts exponentially getting quicker and quicker, because you know it's you who's thinking the thoughts about the other person. It's not really the other person. It's your perception of the other person. And the way you were able to evaluate that person was by your own value of your own self. Cool? So we'll go into what and where motivates you and all that stuff. But we are going to touch on a third part of this first position, second position. We need to look at something from the third position on next video. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for today. Like, share, subscribe if you like these videos, guys. We're getting more and more views, so I appreciate that. Love you for taking your time out of your busy life and learning something or observing something that you didn't know before. All right, so leave me a comment. Let me know how you're feeling about this and yourself. And let me know if this practice worked for you. If you got a good insight, let me know what that is. Share it with you, right? We're here about sharing, right? So my goal is to share the wealth. What I learned in my life, I want to share it with other people. Okay? So the next video is going to be placing your conscious anywhere remotely. Right? We'll touch on that. It's a lot deeper than that, but we're going to start introducing those ions into our reality. All right? So for now, we appreciate it, and we'll see you later.